I'm Jess. I have ADHD and I am recovering. Oh my god, look at my fake tan. I have ADHD, really bad fake tan, and I'm recovering from fearful avoidant attachment style. So yesterday I filmed the anxious preoccupied video. Today's the avoidant version of that. 10 signs you might have an avoidant attachment. Again, notes because I'm not a girl. Fearful avoidance. I will do a separate video about this. Passive avoidance. So it's the avoidant that most people tend to be referring to when they talk about an avoidant attachment style. One thing that I will say is that everybody tends to just call, avoidance, the narcissists and all of this. They make them out like to be this villain. It's not true. It's an anxious, preoccupied attachment style is just as likely to have toxic traits. Both styles have toxic traits. If they're not self-aware, they don't know what they're doing. And I want to take away from this is not your fault if you have unhealthy patterns pertaining to relationships. Because as an adult, it's your responsibility to pick up on these patterns and do better. And they're not all narcissists. Let's just get that out there. So sign number one that you might have an avoidant attachment style is you take responsibility for your own life. And people who play the victim and cry and about bad things that happen in their life and they don't do anything about it irritates the life out of you. And the reason that this irritates the life out of you is because when you were a child and you would show emotion to do with an issue, that was never met with a positive response. What was met with a positive response was you going fixing that problem yourself. So when they see that in someone else, they're just like, go and fix it then. When they're expressing to somebody else an issue that's to do with them, they feel like a burden. When you're doing that back to them, they're going to think that you're being a burden to them, basically. The point to add towards this is they will compartmentalise their life and keep different parts of their life in different boxes. Relationships, family, friends, work. One thing, it's messed up, it's not bleeding into all of the other boxes, and it's just this area they have to deal with. And everything to people, what happened to this relationship, and what happened to that person, why don't I see them anymore? They like to keep it separate so it's not messy. Okay. Often they will feel a high degree of pressure in relationships. You'll often find that the anxious, preoccupied and the avoidant tend to be drawn to each other. As explained in the last video, the anxious, preoccupied video, the anxious partner really strives for a high degree of emotional intimacy, and they want to move the relationship really fast, and they want to ask loads of questions and blah 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 blah. And the avoidance like, whoa, like slow that train down. All these answers to things that I haven't even figured out in my own head yet. Like if you're going to fit into my life, like they're figuring out where they are emotionally because they lack that emotional self-awareness. They don't even know that within themselves, so they find it hard to tell you. So often what they'll do is they end up caving in and basically just telling that person what they want to hear because it's the only way that they can get out of that uncomfortable feeling. Which is obviously not good because it's kind of people pleasing and that's all they know how to do. Either that or run away. And that's the other thing that they might do. Number 3, they feel most comfortable with making decisions alone. So, like job, things like where they want to live, things like what life experiences they want to have. They don't want to share them decisions with somebody else. They might do. They're probably not going to feel comfortable doing it because in their life that's at the top of the priority list. Friendships and relationships, like they want them, not high up there in the priority because it's not like life and death. Do you know, like if you need somewhere to live, you kind of need a job because you need money to live. And life experiences, well, that's what life's about, isn't it? So I kind of want to make the right decisions. You making a joint decision with somebody else can be quite scary for a DA because if that decision that you made together goes wrong, they're just like, well, I should have just not listened to anything that you had to say and just made this decision myself because I trust myself. And that feels safer to them, where things to do with, friendship and relationship, if they were to end, they would be sad, but it's not like life and death. My life's just over and their life wouldn't fall apart. So right, number 4, you'd rather meet the practical needs of loved ones rather than the emotional needs. Okay, avoidants tend to be really, really good gift givers. I've had a couple of experiences, let's say, with DAs. DA, dismissive avoidant, if anyone, confused. One time, it was my birthday, and at this moment, in this time period, I didn't have a lot of spare money, and I hadn't bought myself a clothes horse. So when somebody I'm not like that close with comes into my house, I'm a little bit OCD, and I will not let them, if there's like clothes hanging up or there's pots in the sink, like that's not going to happen. When you start getting a little bit more close, I might not be as bothered about it. This guy that I was dating, he knew about my OCD tendencies. He come into my house one day, got a little bit closer, had some like clothes hanging over the chair and all of that. I think it was raining outside, so I couldn't put them on the line. He knew that that was stressing me out. So for my birthday, might be a bit of a strange one for some of you, but I was buzzing because he bought me two clothes horses. He did buy me some flowers as well, to be fair, but clothes horses, like a big long one and a big high one. Brilliant. What a brilliant idea, because it observed the environment and his solution finding. In person, went on a bit of like a walk with him, didn't have any other trainers than white ones. It was proper boggy, ruined my trainers. Why are you wearing white trainers? Because these are the only ones I have. And then, lo and behold, a box turns up to work with some walking boots in. At the time, I had a relationship with a DA, and my granddad passed away from work. I like my own space when I'm stressed out. Had a bath ram, petals, candles, wine, a box with a photo of me and my granddad in, and sweets and magazines. So cute, man. On the contrary, they might struggle to meet your emotional needs. If you are crying in front of a dismissive avoidant, they are going to be uncomfortable. What they'll tend to do is going to fix it mode. And the issue with that is that sometimes people don't want solutions. They want you to listen to them, to hear them, and to say, I get why you're feeling like that. The issue is, with the dismissive avoidant, that's not their reality, so they're going to struggle to do that, because what they do is they have an issue, they journal it down, they write it down in the journal, they come up with a solution and they fix it. So that's what they're doing with you, even though it can be quite invalidating, but they're not meaning to be invalidating, they just struggle with that. I find it easier to allow people to meet your wants but not your needs. This is because you have a positive sense of self and a negative sense of others. This is from a childhood where you had to do everything for yourself. You had to meet all of your own needs. So other people can't be relied on, especially things like financial, practical, survival needs. They don't feel comfortable allowing you to meet them needs, because then one day they're just waiting for the rug to be pulled from underneath them, and yeah, it's really uncomfortable to have your world fall apart. Be practical thinkers who want to get like, okay, so maybe it'll make you feel better to allow you to meet my needs, but what happens when you don't meet my needs and my life falls apart? That's their kind of thinking. To them, like I already discussed, friendships and relationships are rather wants than needs. So things like letting somebody choose where they go and meet for lunch, or the date ideas, or stuff like that to do the date don't go too good. It's not the end of the world, is it really? 6, when somebody's hurt your feelings, you tend to recluse on your own to process it rather than reach out to repair. It doesn't really occur to a dismissive avoidant to, if you're the person that's hurt me, I'm going to reach out and have a conversation with you, try and hash it out. Healthy conflict resolution was not modelled to them. They didn't see this. So the safe thing for them to do is to back away, look at the emotions down, find a solution. Bob's your uncle. Sometimes the solution is cutting you off. Sometimes the solution is telling themselves 100 reasons why that person is not good for them and their life is better without you, and you'll never hear from them again. Or maybe you'll hear from them when they come out of deactivation and the nervous system's calmed down. But this is what happens when they're triggered, when you've hurt them. They've never had it modelled to them to have healthy conflict resolution, so this is often what you'll see. Often not a conscious thing, they don't even realise that they're doing it. Sometimes it is a conscious thing, and sometimes they actually think that they're doing you a service, because if they were emotional, they wouldn't want you around them, they would want to deal with that on their own, so they're doing that back to you. You are open to relationships. People think that avoidant people don't want relationships. I don't know. They're not robots. They want relationships with people, just struggle to find someone that meets their standards for self-sufficiency and for independence, basically. And even if they do lack the skills, and because of fear of intimacy, they struggle to get the ball rolling and actually create like connection with the person. 3 different scenarios that could play out. So avoidant and secure. Secure person probably won't stick around for someone who isn't meeting their needs. So that's that. Avoidant, which is basically what I've just said. Somebody who will meet their independency needs. But both people are not very good at them skills. And anxious, which is what avoidants tend to be drawn to, because the anxious person pursues them very fast. Both of them partners aren't taking steps towards secure attachment, often just fail because the avoidant person's going to feel a lot of pressure, it's going to feel smothered, and if the anxious person doesn't learn to self-soothe, then the anxious person's just going to run away from them. Protective over your time and space. Now, whether you're aware of it or not, all of the strict routines and the self-care that you put into place, making your house nice and tidy, this is basically a product of trying to emotionally self-soothe. If you follow me on Instagram, guys, you will see I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I meditate, I do some yoga, I do exercise routines around about 3 times a week, journal my feelings. These things are me making sure that I am emotionally regulated every single day. I like the routine. I don't like things changing, because if things are unpredictable, my mood could be unpredictable. That's stressful. So I like to plan things ahead and I like things as they are. I like my house to be tidy and clean, and then I know how much time I've got to do other activities, and just my life's great. You rarely feel emotionally vulnerable. For me, obviously I can swing between both anxious and avoidant sides. I'm probably a bit more emotionally vulnerable than a dismissive avoidant, but I'm very particular. It takes me a long time to open up to somebody and really be vulnerable. Happen a bit more when I've had alcohol. I'll start kissing everyone and whatever. Number 10, you show love by not burdening other people with your needs. On some level, believe that this is how you show love to somebody. If I'm dysregulated, I'm going to take myself off. If you're dysregulated, you take yourself off, and then once we're regulated again, we'll come back together, because then we're not sharing our issues and bringing problems to each other. You can feel a little bit smothered. Process your emotions for you when they would never do that, because they just process them themselves and deal with them themselves. So it can actually feel quite unloving for an avoidant when someone keeps coming to them with all of their issues, because, you know, issues equals, it's just stress, isn't it? Especially if it's emotional, because they don't really know what to do with it. Assuming this is before the avoidant is self-aware and working towards a more secure attachment style. So guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe, comment, follow me, all of the above, and have a great day.